prices. The same as the insurance companies negotiate prices with your office. You say you don't have anything to do with it. Obviously, you got a business manager negotiating this thing.
No, there's no negotiation.
No negotiation?
No.
Well, then you can drop the insurance company,
No.
because I've lost doctors that way.
No.
I have lost doctors under my
Well, let me
coverage.
answer your question.
because of that.
I'll explain
But
why.
why didn't they allow it to
I'll
be negotiated?
explain it to you.
And why
I'll
don't you
explain
go
it
and
to
fix
you.
that?
First of all, let me address the negotiation thing. That's the way it's supposed to work. But the truth is, doctors are not allowed by law to band together to negotiate prices. We have to do it individually. So in each case, every doctor is the individual against the entire insurance industry. Insurance in every state usually has one major player. What is it in Louisiana? Blue Cross Blue Shield has about 75% of the market. I have no negotiating power. It's a take it or leave it deal with them and every other insurance company. And so the way it works is, yes, you can not accept their patients, but what happens is if you don't accept their patients, somebody else does, and at the end of the day, you know, your chances of being able to break even, drops down. So it is not a healthy, robust marketplace where you have even negotiating power, where your services can be valued at the level they cost you. And I'll give you a good example of the problem we have right now, which is a crisis building, is immunizations. Immunizations are very expensive. And to make sure that the immunization rates stay high for this state, the state has been paying, even for private insurance patients, the cost of immunizations. And suddenly to cut costs, they have stopped doing that. And so patients who have been used to coming in and not paying a dime for their immunizations are coming in my clinic and say, I'm here for my immunizations. And we go, I'm sorry, but if we give you your immunizations, you're going to have to pay about $200–300 out of pocket. And they go, well, no way am I going to do that. You've always given them to me for free. Well, if I give you your immunizations and I send a bill to the insurance company, they're going to pay me 50 cents on the dollar. So not only am I giving you your immunizations, but I'm paying for half of your immunizations. Now, I know you think that's insane, but folks, that's the way it is. I wish it wasn't that way. So what do? We give them a choice. They can either pay for it or they can go to the health unit or they can go see another doctor. I can't go out of business giving people immunization. That is dictated to me. I have no negotiating power whatsoever. Now back to your question. During the Medicare D debate, he's talking about Medicare D, which is the drug prescription debate. There was really two sides of the debate. Both sides agreed that we should have drug coverage for Medicare patients. I was not in Congress then, but I was very happy that I was seeing a situation where I could do almost anything for a patient without any cost to them whatsoever, except they couldn't afford their medication. So I really wanted them to have some kind of drug coverage. Democrats said that we need to have, the government should negotiate those prices. Well, what that really means is the government should dictate the prices. Republicans said, no, we think that the drug companies should bid on the prices. There should be competitive bidding, and whoever bids on it and thinks they can make a profit from it, they get the bid. The lowest bid wins, as long as it's a good quality thing. And the CBO scored this, and it came out, I don't know what the cost was going to be, and Republicans won. Instead of a government-dictated pricing, it was going to be a bid process, competitive bidding. Remember I talked about that's what drives costs down, is competition. And the price came in over the years, since that went into effect several years ago, the cost has been 40% below CBO estimate. That is the only thing that anybody, and I've asked people around Capitol Hill, name me something that has come in under budget. That's a large ticket thing. Nobody can think of it. It was Medicare Part D. It was the Republican version that has actually saved money. And Medicare recipients are very happy with the program. The donut hole was a problem, but it was going to be a problem anyway. Yeah. Yeah, you have another comment?
The follow-up thing is I haven't read that ever anywhere before. I read a lot. My question is, the military is mandated, the military is negotiated, the VA hospitals are negotiated. Are you saying that they're losing money on the VA hospitals? and
I'm
the military
saying
hospitals?
that, is anybody here aware of the drug shortages that we're running into right now?
For the cancer.
For cancer drug, methotrexate. I started med school in 1972. There was only a handful of drugs used for cancer, and methotrexate was one of them. It's a generic drug. It's been around for 60 years. Do you know what? It cures half of childhood leukemias, and you can't get it. You cannot. You can get it in a third world country, but you can't get it in America today. At least not right now. Now, why is that? That and many other drugs. A lady was telling me Sunday in my Sunday school, she works in another clinic, she says, we can't get lidocaine. Lidocaine is a numbing medicine we put in the skin when we do skin surgery. We're getting all these spot shortages. Why? That's what happens when you have a price-controlled economy. When you're paying less than what it costs to produce it or sell it, it's going to go away. It's not going to be there. And so if you add FDA regulations and you add a government, it may be called negotiation, but if the government says, this is your price and you're going to pay it, then you're either going to make it or you're not. And in these cases, the government says, we're not making it. We're out of here. And therefore, we have a shortage. And it's relatively cheap, but it just wasn't cheap enough for those who are the buyers. Medicaid. Yes, people walk around with Medicaid cards, but if it pays me more than it costs to deliver the care, I can't see the Medicaid patient. So where do they go? They wait in the emergency room at LSU for 12 hours. Spot shortages. If the government, if it were a market where I competed for the business and did what I can, but it was enough to cover my cost, then I'd go out and get the Medicaid patients and bring them in. But no, it doesn't work that way. The government dictates this is the price, and by golly, we don't care whether they see a doctor or not. That's the price we're going to pay. And in many cases, providers do this. I'm a doctor, I know this. Is if they can't make it, remember I said if you lose a penny on every donut, you just make it up in volume? A lot of doctors are trying to do that. They just try to see as many patients as they can. If you notice, doctors spending less time with you, they're on the treadmill. They're getting paid less and less for doing the same thing while their cost is going up higher. Folks, that doesn't work. It doesn't work when you're selling cars. It doesn't work when you're selling clothes. It doesn't work when you're selling ice cream. So it sure doesn't work when you're providing health care. Mandated pricing, price controls, it does not work, it never has worked, and it never will work. And it's been attempted over and over again, whether you're talking about the Soviet Union, North Korea, Cuba. Remember Cuba? Cuba has 100% coverage in health care. Antibiotics are free. They just don't have any. They have one colonoscope for the whole island. See, a pure socialistic system, it's all a continuum. The more socialistic it is, the more government controlled an economy is, the worse the results. Yes, this young lady, thank you.
Okay. I would like to thank you, Congressman Fleming, for having a town hall meeting and explaining things to like the constituents, which I am too. I just said that. Okay. I would like to just ask the question because I was reading recently, and I forgot from where, but it said that late last year, you spent $32,000 in legal fees, and you didn't really quite explain it. And for you not to explain it, it just seems like maybe, to me, as a younger adult, that maybe you might have had, like, issues with, something that you needed to hire a legal attorney for.
Is that a crime? Is it a crime?
No, I was just wondering why you would spend $32,000.
Well, I'm shocked. I'm shocked. So you're saying if you pay a lawyer a
But you
bill
didn't.
that you've committed
So
a
why
crime?
would you-
I think it's the lawyer that committed the crime, if you ask me.
Okay.
Look, when you're in healthcare, when you're in small business, and when you're in Congress, you're paying accountants and lawyers all the time, and it's always going to be that way. So I don't know what else to tell you, but that's the way of life. That's the way it's been for a long time for me and my colleagues. Yes, sir.
Congressman, I echo the young lady's thanks, and would want to change the subject if I could for a second back to one of those bureaucracies that gave you such happy memories, in your case, the United States Navy. We have a similar bureaucracy around here that has a large footprint in our community. For us, our beloved United States Air Force, we're backed up to right here at Barksdale. It has been put in a position by the national budget to, it has been put in a position by the national budgetary effort to make some very difficult decisions. And often it's bureaucrats working their processes, which can be as misguided and wrongly directed as your Navy processes, in an attempt to find some rotten wood somewhere to chop out. They go after low-hanging fruit. And the way they define their low-hanging fruit is not necessarily if they're rotten apples, but if they're apples that are not being protected by their local communities and specifically by their congressional delegations. And they've announced a decision here recently that has a lot of people in this community shocked. And that is that one of the most effective weapons when the United States has gone to war over the last few decades, and one of the most effective units, that would be the A-10, at the 917th unit here, the 47th Fighter Squadron in Historic Unit, will be closed. And those weapons mothballed in just a budget drill, just a money-saving effort. And I know you're aware, and most people in this community are aware, that the 47th and the 917th are far from being rotten apples or dead wood. They are, in fact, uniquely situated here at Barksdale to be effective, economical, and efficient. They are the cornerstone of supporting the training program at Fort Polk. If they close the 47th, they have to bring in more expensive rotational forces.
For the sake of time, because I know we got other questions, let me kind of get to your, to the
Well,
answer.
if I may, and just very quickly, it's also unique in that it supports the total force integration initiative of the Air Force. Barksdale right here, with the active duty support community, right here, already paid for. It has unique training airspace, it has a unique recruiting base, and as I mentioned with the 47th, a unique and storied history.
So, let me,
Well, my question is
yeah,
this.
let's get to your
Can we-
question, because I
can
want to
we-
be sure we give time to others as well.
Can we in this community count on you, and also, I know you can't answer for them, but Senator Vitter and Senator Landrieu, to throw a flag in the play here and support
Absolutely.
our local unit that
Senator
is so
Vitter,
effective?
yes, Senator Vitter and I have already sent letters on this issue. Remember that I voted against the supercommittee sequestration idea, although this cut is not.
I hope I gave you a slow pitch here with it.
Okay, I appreciate that. No, I appreciate
This was a
that.
friendly question.
No, it is. It's very friendly. No, you know exactly where I stand on this.
Yes, indeed.
I'm against any cuts
Yeah.
for defense. I'm against waste, and I want to cut waste where there is waste. But I'm against removing or mothballing the A-10s. I agree with you 100%. I wrote a letter. David Vitter wrote a letter. I'm not sure about Landrieu. I think she may have also.
I believe she's in our corner.
She's generally supportive of our military in Louisiana. But unfortunately, this is part of the easy cuts. This is not part of the hard cuts. The hard cuts could be the base itself, and that's what I was talking. You may have come in after my introduction.
I did.
Okay, because I went through this quite a bit and explained that we had $500 billion that I was not for, but Republicans generally went along because the Pentagon felt like it could do it reasonably and without much pain. The second $500 billion from the sequestration, the Budget Control Act, is an absolute disaster. Even the SecDef says that, and we're very worried about that. We're wanting to reverse this. So, yeah, I'm 100% in agreement with you, 110%, and yeah, I will fight to the very end for that. I commit to you on that, absolutely.
Appreciate it.
I mean, the A-10, you know, they started to retire the A-10, I don't know, what is it?
Back during Desert Storm.
Yeah, back during Desert Storm.
I think
and
its
then-
stock went up real fast.
Yeah, absolutely. They go, you know what, we've got exactly the right solution to the problem here. And you know, they talked about retiring the B-52s for years, and then they figured out, you know what, we don't have to drop bombs anymore. We can just shoot them out underneath the wing about 1,000 miles. And we can lay ordinance right on top of our target. So, the only